Hey nerds, just got finished watching Soliloquy of Chaos, the 12th episode in the saga of Luke Cage on Netflix. This episode is jam-packed with so much stuff, and given that it's the season pre-finale, I guess it had to be. Soliloquy of Chaos kind of reminds me of hip-hop lyrics, which are in the episode. I guess I'll unpack this thing first because it's really important. So, the Club Harlem's Paradise and Pop's Barbershop are two of the most notable locations, right? I guess you can also add in the police precinct with Pop's Barbershop being Switzerland. And of course, I guess the police station would be like the Allied Powers, and then I guess Harlem's Paradise would be the Axis Powers. Don't want to dig too deep into that part. I just wanted to mention kind of the alignments of things. And given that there is a lot of hip-hop culture and just energy flowing through, not just Luke Cage's show, but this episode, I think it's very interesting to note that for a lot of Cottonmouth scenes, there's a performer, especially in like kind of the beginning of the series. Almost every episode that Cottonmouth is in, there's a song done by a performer at the club. Sometimes, quite often, the performer actually acknowledges Cottonmouth, which is by itself interesting, right? But given that this is diegetic, meaning in universe, not just for the sake of elevating the scene through music that no one else can hear except the audience. With the theme of control being ever constant, Cottonmouth had control. He had control over what we saw and heard, depending on the performer. Now, when he's not the owner of the club anymore because he's dead, and his cousin, takes over, she has a different setup. She goes old school instead of new school, and you can see that she now controls, or at least we thought she did. It turns out that actually this music really jives with Diamondback. We never find out exactly who decides that those performers are going to perform, but it was evidently clear that in the last episode, I guess the episode before that, when they're in the club, there is no music because the club is in shambles. The stage is vacated, everyone ran out. Now remember that for a second. And thinking about this episode, Luke Cage is on the run, but he has complete support. And he doesn't have as much control as some of the other characters have because, you know, he's on the run and whatnot. But he does have a lot of control on the streets because people won't rat him out, and not just because people don't snitch. Instead of getting convoluted, I will just explain the rest of my point. When they utilize Method Man as a guest star and put him into the... Technically, he's a character in the MCU now. I mean, he's himself in the MCU, which is interesting. But they have him experience Luke Cage, he gets saved by him, and then he does a song that is inspired by Luke Cage, that is a direct response to Luke Cage. And it has much more influence than any of the music played in the club does because, well, it was on the radio, it was on a radio show. So, given that, it shows that Luke, I felt like it was a symbol of Luke Cage having the most control over Harlem in general. Harlan in general. That being said, the song was awesome. I like the show showing its roots and not being afraid to like go all the way. Having an old school rapper on the show, even for episodes, a little bit, and kind of actually being someone Luke Cage is a fan of, I think really speaks to just the audience they had in mind in terms of these small little eccentricities. Because it'd be funny if someone gets introduced to Method Man through watching Luke Cage. Who is that? I think that's really cool. I mean, the internet exists as it is, but you know, not everyone knows everything, even if it's pop culture knowledge. Regardless of all that, though, the bullet hole hoodie spectacle, I really appreciated. They even name dropped Trayvon Martin, so like they kind of knew what we were thinking, especially if you're using hoodies as a symbol, as people have already used hoodies as a symbol in protest to what happened to Trayvon Martin and in terms of police brutality all across the U.S. And a bullet hole riddled hoodie is kind of Luke Cage's trademark, whether he wants it to be or not, because people keep ruining his clothes by shooting at him. That was pretty interesting. Now they get out of my analyzing mode and go more into what happened in the episode and what I thought about it, especially what ended up happening with Shades, because oh my gosh, he was toward the top of my Deadpool, and I thought he was about to get taken off, but he switched his spot and threw Shades in front of the bus, I guess you could say. I was actually gonna be released. I was like, man, they just keep killing characters I like. Although I mean, almost everyone who's died has had a criminal past, which is interesting. I mean, there's a lot of criminals in Harlem. You had to do that to survive, right? But just the way that Shades is actually able to turn the tables on Zip, I think it was really cool. And I have been interested in Zip as a character for a while now because, you know, they've been giving him more and more to do. And they kind of shut him down this episode. Diamondback and Shades both called him on his BS. And his final words rang so hollow in a way, because I wasn't aware of this character Romeo. I thought people were being poetic when they were talking about this person, but it was someone who obviously died earlier this season, or possibly just died in the past, and it kind of got, I wouldn't say ignored, but I would say it wasn't at the forefront of my mind when thinking about all the character deaths and all the trauma all the characters have endured. But given that two different people who knew Zip way back when, or at least knew of him, say that he's disrespecting the memory of whoever he used to look up to, I think is very interesting, and I think was a very good attempt to make him a more complete character. And of course his arc kind of crashes and burns. He isn't able to do what he meant to do, but them referencing Icarus in relation to him, I think is poetic enough. I really didn't expect Zip to die, and I'm so glad that Shades is alive, so I'm not really gonna I'm definitely not gonna lose any sleep over it. However, it wasn't intensely, and I did not know who was gonna live, so I definitely appreciate the thrilling conclusion of that moment. I really thought Shades was gonna get betrayed by Black Mariah, but apparently they're on the same side still. I still think Black Mariah is gonna end up getting away with the murder of Cottonmouth. I think they will be able to put it on Diamondback, although I'm not sure if I want to say Diamondback will live or die right now, because I finally did do a little bit more research, and I found out that first, Willis Stryker is not the same as William Stryker that I thought they were using. They're actually two different characters in Marvel, one named William, one named Willis. I was confused at first because when I looked up William Stryker, a white guy came up, although the story threads seem to be kind of similar. A pastor, not a pastor's son, for example, but a white guy. But then, of course, putting in Luke Cage Willis comes up as a Luke Cage villain, like specifically Luke Cage villain. So, yeah, not the same guy. But the other guy is connected to X-Men, William Stryker, but not in the way I thought. Maybe I'll do a video about that later. Obviously, they don't want to touch X-Men property stuff because FODs. So there's that. What else? Black Mariah is probably going to have to kill again if she wants to keep her freedom. I'm expecting that person who decided she was actually on Luke Cage's side and is going to need to be under police protection to testify. I think she's actually going to end up killing her or having her killed. Maybe her assistant will do it, because I haven't seen her assistant in a little bit. You know, her assistant's trying to get his hands dirty, which is interesting. He's like playing at criming. You know, to be a good crime assistant, you got to be able to go all the way. I thought it was interesting that Diamondback is basically pushing all of his best people away by being not only unstable, but also by wanting people to basically follow him blindly. I think Shades was in the right. I think Zip was in the right when they were calling him on his stuff, but he doesn't like that, and he will kill you or throw knives in you. So that ended up not working out at all for Diamondback. But now with his super suit, maybe he will not die, but I feel like given the story arc he's been on, he's going to meet his maker. I mean, he's definitely either doing that or going to jail. There's no way he's getting off clean with this. He doesn't deserve it. Which is interesting, like Cottonmouth as a sympathetic villain I would like really enjoy, but I have no sympathy for Diamondback. I definitely want Luke Cage to break his nose at the very least. His super suit is very similar to what he looks like in the comics. And before I looked it up, it confused me even more because I thought, you know, William Stryker, the person I thought he was related to the X-Men comics, you know, was a Weapon X guy and and part of the military. This character, Willis Stryker, was never joined the military, right? But the super suit has like stars on it that resemble a military uniform. Now, he probably stole it from a military outfit, and we'll probably find out where that came from later, and it'll probably be a tease for next season, but only time will tell. Let's see. Characters I didn't really talk about. Well, I guess I didn't talk about Luke narrowly escaping being shot by the police after escaping. Escape scene was awesome. I really liked all the dialogue between Missy and Luke this entire episode, even though they didn't get to talk directly to each other very much. But she's like Commissioner Gordoning it right now. Like, I'm on your side, but I'm gonna pretend like I'm not on your side. Like, I love where her arc has led her, and her being a little bit more cool-headed. Although the standoff in the barbershop was like, come on, Misty. But, you know, you had to set up the drama and put it up top, because with Luke Cage fighting the super battle uninhibited, then we're gonna need some other struggle to fill up the intensity of the next episode, which I'm sure is gonna be like an hour and a half. Well, I guess in terms of Shades being in jail and getting right before getting bailed out and admitting that, you know, he doesn't know what's going to happen, he's not in control. The inspector, Misty's boss, is kind of trying to come into her own a little bit more. We haven't seen a lot of character moments that don't involve Misty with her. It was nice to see her try. I wonder what's going to happen to her. I feel like she might die. feel like she might die. I'm gonna throw her into Deadpool 2. Her, Diamondback, and Shades at the top of my Deadpool right now. I don't think Misty's gonna die. She's already been injured. It doesn't seem like a good play dramatically. I think that I'm gonna stop the video here. Oh, sorry. I meant to mention, I love the Stan Lee. Wasn't really a cameo. I mean, I guess you can call it a cameo because they didn't get him to actually be in it. I actually thought that they were gonna give him a speaking role maybe, but ends up he was a poster on the convenience store that got robbed with Method Man in it. And it was like, if you see something, say something. Him in a police uniform pointing at you. And I was like, oh, you Stan Lee, you. So that was fun. Also, the whole scene where Luke and Method kind of bro out, I think was delicious. I'm really excited for the season finale of this. And even though you'll be seeing this much after this happens, I am actually recording this the night of the Fear the Walking Dead season finale, which I will be watching momentarily. So I'm really excited for that. But regardless, keep watching Luke Cage, and have a good night, nerds, or day, or afternoon.